Hello, everybody. Cody here. Wanted to talk about the dopamine deficiency we all ADHDers have. I learned something new of how it works within a lot of us. If you see me looking down here, it's because I'm actually reading this, and I thought this was pretty interesting. It's called the vacuum cleaner transporters. So dopamine is released in the space between neurons the to send a message. It's what helps us feel the effects of the dopamine, the motivation, the pleasure, why we enjoy things, why we like it. And once the message is sent, transporters act like a vacuum cleaner to suck the dopamine back and can be recycled and used again. But in an ADHD brain, the transporters are hyperactive. So they suck up the dopamine before the brain can even use it and receive the message. So we're getting dopamine, but it's being sucked back up before we can even feel the effects of it. And this means even if we produce enough dopamine, it doesn't stay in the system long enough to do its job. And also, how meds help. Stimulants like medications like Ritalin or Adderall or Vyvanse, any kind of stimulant, basically clogs that vacuum and allowing the dopamine to sit longer so the brain can actually use it. That's why stimulants work for us, is because it's allowing the dopamine to sit and stay longer in our brain to, for our brain to use it, for us to focus better, to be motivated, to actually feel better. And also there was something on receptor sensitivity. It's not just about the amount of dopamine, it's about the receptors listening for it. So some ADHD brains often have fewer or less sensitive dopamine receptors, which, even if there's enough dopamine present, the brain doesn't feel it as strongly. So it's like us being really, some of us can be really tolerant to the dopamine, which means it creates a high threshold for interest unless the task is incredibly stimulating or interesting or something that we really enjoy, then the brain doesn't register it worth doing. It doesn't matter to us. It doesn't stimulate us. It doesn't feel pleasure to us. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. I always heard we have, dopamine deficit. We don't have much dopamine, and those are the pleasure, motivation, stimulate us to make us feel good. And I've always thought, I never really looked into it. I always thought it was like, we just don't produce enough. But, we do. I mean, that kind of is true from what I read earlier. We do produce little dopamine, but when we are producing more dopamine, the receptors suck it back up like a vacuum to be recycled before the brain can even use it. So that's why we are dopamine seekers, is because, you know, we'll get that hit of pleasure or stimulation that we're looking for, and then it's gone after that. And then we, like scrolling, doom scrolling, we'll get it and then not get it, then not get it. Or video games will keep it going for a while. But yeah, when you're on stimulants, any kind of stimulant that you're on, it stops that. It slows it down to where the dopamine can actually take effect. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But you guys have a good day. Bye.